In the last few months, international media has been bombarded with protests that broke out across the world. And our Kyung-eun tells us the movements seem to have various elements in common.
In Hong Kong, mass protests have taken over the streets for a record 22nd consecutive week. And similar scene is unfolding in other parts of the world, from Chile to Lebanon and from Iraq to Spain. They all have distinct causes, methods, and goals. But they're occurring against a common backdrop, inequality, with many protesters being economic and political minorities. Consider Chile, the worst nationwide protest in decades was triggered by a 4-cent hike in subway fare. Those 4 cents were the breaking point for low-income households who spend roughly 30% of their income on transportation. Also, the hike brought to the fore people's wider grievances over living costs and inequality in the country. Chile is one of the wealthiest countries in Latin America, but also one of the most unequal countries in the OECD. 1% of the population controls 27% of the wealth, while the poorer half have only 2%. The riots in Lebanon broke out in a similar context. The government's planned tax on the internet-based calling service WhatsApp posed a direct threat to people who use it as a substitute for the expensive regular phone service. Also in Hong Kong, many experts blame young people's long-held frustrations over inequality, most apparent in the city's housing prices, the highest in the world. They say that's why the protests continued despite the scrapping of the extradition bill that first ignited the movement. This common struggle between ordinary people and elites has led to a particular scene popping up again and again in these protests around the globe. Artists and protesters wear costumes, makeup, and masks inspired by the main character in the movie Joker. Reports say protesters resonate with the isolated, powerless man who hates the wealthy elite, saying they live in the fictional city of Gotham where crime and injustice prevail. On top of these same voices and visuals, the protesters also share the unbending spirit to march on, even if it takes immense sacrifices. Kyung-eun, Arirang News.